You know, it's a rarity that we get through the entire intro song for PCP Movie Night, but we definitely had to do it tonight for Rocky, one of the mightiest franchises of all time here on PCP Movie Night. Welcome everybody to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Billups, and tonight we're talking about the Rocky franchise, not the Creed movies. They deserve to sit on their own. And also I haven't seen them yet. However, I am a fan of the Rocky franchise. It was something I grew up with. I was obsessed with it as a kid, in particular, number 3 and 4. And I haven't seen these movies in so long. I thought it was the perfect time to gather my best friends together and do what we call PCP Movie Night, where we watch the movies and we talk about them with you live. So thank you all so much for joining us. I see Spilio in the house. He told me earlier, he texted me and said, yo, this is like one of my favorite franchises of all time. But my favorite franchise is PCP Movie Night. And the reason why is because it's me and my best friends, including Brooks the Magnificent. What is up, my man?
What's up?
Happy to have you here for the Rocky franchise, a franchise you've already seen every single one of these before.
Yeah, this is one that I had seen all the movies for, actually, surprisingly.
Hell yeah. So Brooks is a little bit of an expert. Speaking of experts, we also got Go Figure Gangster himself, Vista Jalankster Gangster. What is up, my man?
Hey, yo, it's how you doing today, man? It's good to see you, Robbie and Brooks. Good to be here and talking to you about this Rocky movie, man. It's happy to be here, man.
Thanks so much, Sly Jelani. How you doing? All right. Also, we got the one and the only Mike, the voice, Matthews. What is up, everybody? Ding, 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 ding.
What's up, everybody? How's it going today?
Going swell. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good.
Excited to talk about some Rocky movies?
Yes.
All right, so let's get into it. The four of us are going to unpack this with you out there in the PCP Army, in the chat. So let us know what you think as we go along. But we're going to kick it off in 1976, the original Rocky. Now, we all know the story. Sylvester Stallone had done a couple of movies. He wasn't really making a name for himself. He was kind of down and out. And he decided, you know what? Let me take this typecast that they're trying to do. They wanted him to be this like thuggish, dark type figure, right? He decides, let me take that, but show the soul of someone like that. And let's tie it in somehow with the very like universal theme of picking yourself back up and proving that when given an opportunity, it's about what you make out of it, right? And Rocky touches so many cinematic milestones, like some of the earliest use of the Steadicam, for instance, but also just thematic milestones. It touches on these things that keep reverberating through time. And I think that's why not only is it a fantastic franchise for the 70s and then the 80s, and it morphs in style through the 70s and the 80s, the entire franchise does, but it continues today. So it's become a generational thing. And so it's a really interesting one to unpack and to watch with a big extended lapse in watching these films and then rewatching them all. So we start with the first one. We know that story. Sylvester Stallone wrote the script. He refused to sell it unless he was going to be the star. He finally got the deal made. This was a very low budget film. It got nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, launched the crazy legacy of Sylvester Stallone. And Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think of them like I think of Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane as the Sly and Arnold of the 90s comic scene. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's all sensational. It's all crazy. And sometimes there's a little bit of nuance to it. And Sylvester Stallone always provided some nuance in Rocky and First Blood in particular, right? So the first Rocky movie to me on this rewatch, and I grew up, I think my first Rocky film was probably 4, to be honest with you. Maybe it was 3, because I remember Mr. T and Hulk Hogan very early. So maybe it was 3 on VHS or something and 4, but watching 1 again here, man, this is a masterful film. It is a milestone achievement in low budget, almost near independent cinema, right? Like the movie works so well. Sylvester Stallone, I love First Blood. This is one of his best performances. I mean, it's hard to judge between Rambo and Rocky, right? But man, his performance in the first one is top notch. Talia Shire is great. What's his name? Burt. Is it Burt Young?
Burt Young
Who plays Paulie. Paulie is amazing. Of course, Meredith, right, as Mickey. Like, the cast is phenomenal. Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. And my favorite thing about this entire franchise is Apollo Creed's journey. Like, I hate that it ends. We'll get to Rocky 4. But Apollo Creed's probably my favorite character in the entire franchise outside of Rocky himself. But the first one holds up. It is a tremendously well done film. It is a universally resounding film. It really, I think almost anybody anywhere can watch this film and not just understand it or get what Sylvester Stallone's trying to do or what he's trying to say, but also be inspired and motivated. Like, here I am after 2 weeks of watching Rocky films. I'm ready to get back into the gym. Like, it makes some change. I want to get sweaty. I want to have a cool montage. And now I guess, and like, why have I never?
I am the tiger.
Yeah. When I used to go to the gym, why did I never listen to the Rocky soundtracks? Like, that's the dumbest thing. I should have totally have done that. So I want to know, Brooks, your overall thoughts on the first Rocky film, and what do you rate it out of 5 you digs? And you out there in the chat, you let us know.
Yeah, well, I remember really liking the first Rocky film because it felt like the most kind of grounded, I guess, and it still is. Like, and it's kind of like the thing in the whole franchise has this, but like this is kind of Stallone's like more positive aspect of his philosophy. Like, after having watched some of his more like cynical movies like Last Blood and Cobra, where he kind of shows his more dark side, like Rocky is like a breath of fresh air. I think it's like, you've seen Stallone, like, talk about, what he admires about humanity, like the drive to, work through hardships and, always looking forward, and going for it when you get the chance, and, taking opportunities and, and respecting people, like, he has such reverence for Apollo Creed because he's like, Apollo, he's the best. And like, and especially that scene in the bar where the dude like insults Creed and like, and Rocky's like, just throws his money down and walks out on him. Like, I think that's a great thing about Rocky. He's an everyman. And like, his journey is so strange because he just like goes up and then he just like, he ends up right back where he was in the beginning. But this movie was the first movie was really great. I give it 5, easy.
A perfect score. And I mean, I think we're going to probably hear some repeated ideas here, right? But I love what you said about the grounded nature. Now, the first Rocky film is the most grounded of the franchise, I would say, right? For the most part, until we get to maybe Rocky Balboa. They attempted to ground it in Rocky 5. They attempted a regrounding of the franchise, right? And we'll discuss those films. But this movie, when you think of the sensationalism of Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, and you go back and watch the first one, the first two, but in particular the first one, it is gritty. This dude works for the mob, basically, right? Like, he's criminal. He like goes and shakes down people for money. And there's an element to it. And in any other movie, I get what Sylvester Stallone was doing. He could have easily just been those kind of guys in those movies. He was like, well, if they're going to make me that kind of guy, let me show the other side of that one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? And we just talked about Goodfellas, and Goodfellas has its elements of sensationalizing violence, but also showing us the repercussions of it and the tragedy of the soul that it provides. But Rocky is able to really show us a good person who just is really born in a bad situation and never really had the shots. And the dichotomy and the juxtaposition of him and Paulie throughout the entire franchise is something that really anchors everything for me. And then, of course, Apollo, who came, and like we find out more about him later on. Rocky, the first one, is a masterpiece. 5 you digs from Brooks. What about you, Jelani? Thoughts on the first Rocky film, and what do you rate it?
Yeah, I watched this film when I was a kid, like years and years ago. Like it's been on HBO like so many times, and like my parents like lived on HBO, so I watched it when I was younger. Of course, I saw like Rocky 4 and Rocky 3 first. I think 4, then 3. I watched them all out of order, and didn't know what was going on until like 5, because 5 was the first one I saw in the theater, and I was like, but we'll get to that. But as far as the first film, it is gritty. It shows Rocky as this honest, positive character, and that's what I loved about all these films. He stays that way. He maintains that character throughout all 6 films. He's just this down to earth guy. He's had a bad run at life, and no one believes in him. Mickey doesn't even believe in him. He's very awkward in situations, especially with love. With Adrian, he's always at the pet shop, always trying to tell a corny joke to her, to just try to make her smile or something. But she's the shy girl, so he can't do much, But he finally, he over Thanksgiving he wins her over in the weirdest, awkwardest way possible. But it worked. Somehow it worked, and and I love this story for that. Like I said, I love a love story, and I think the chemistry between Talia Shire and Sylvester Stallone is awesome. I don't know what it is. She is ride or die for him. She does not. She doesn't want him to box for certain reasons. We'll get into that in Rocky 2 and especially Rocky 4. Rocky 5. But she is down for whatevs. I've never. If you wanted a partner, it would be Adrian. Like, she's just there for you, and she was there for him the entire trip. She was down for the ride the second it happened. She was just like, go win. She's just one of those people, and I really enjoy her. She's one of my favorite characters in this thing. Of course, Rocky is my favorite character because he's so positive, and his head is made of straight rock. It's like straight granite. No one can take a beating like him and get up and survive it. And especially the beating Creed put on him, because Apollo Creed, like, all he wanted was like an exhibition match where he was going to show off his talent, show that the underdog could probably get a shot at the chance of the championship. It's such a great story. Like, you get a shot, you get this shot, and then Mickey finally like recognizes that he's a good, that he has this shot. He wants to take him and train him and all these things, but he didn't believe in him. Like, he'd given up on him. And that's what makes me mad about Mickey. I get it. He's an old grizzled fighter, and he's never really on Rocky's side. Like, not until the end. Towards the end, he finally is there.
And in fact, in part 2, he comes across as kind of almost petty in a way where, like, Rocky's wife is in a coma, and he's all like,
you need to fight.
He's interrupting him while he's praying. He's like, hey man, you gotta move forward. You gotta fight, Rocky.
All right, I'll sit here with you. But he finally gives in.
It's also Mickey's chance.
It's a good name.
You know what I'm saying? It's Mickey's chance too. He's got a lot riding on it too, and he also, I think, understands the state that Rocky is in mentally, and like, he does need to focus because of he's a fighter. That's the other thing, is like, he is a fighter. You can't tell him not to be himself. And we're getting a little bit into it, but I love what you said about Talia. Adrian, Talia's character, Adrian, because it is a love story. This entire franchise is a love story all the way through Balboa.
All the way through. Mm-hmm. And he's so dedicated to her. He has no eyes for no other woman except like at 3 when a girl like, can I kiss you on the cheek? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's on the bike and he's like play training or whatever the crap he was doing before he got his ass whooped. But she looked at him. She looked at him with like this stare, like this glare. This is awful. And it was like piercing daggers. And I was like, yep. But he's faithful. He's genuine. He's good to his family. He's good. He's good to the people that he's around. Even when Paulie's a jackass in this movie, and he's a true jackass, he's very solid with him. He's very patient with him. You don't see him. You never see Rocky fly off the handle except when he's in the ring. And I think all of the things he gets out in the ring, and he takes those hits and he gives them out. And for that, man, I want to give this a 5 too, because it's such a gritty, heartwarming story, like an underdog story. I think it's one of the first underdog stories, like the 76. Yeah, I don't know another underdog story that before this that's really this gritty, but at the same time the character is so full of heart and so positive. He's one of the most positive characters that I've seen Sylvester Stallone play, and it's I don't know. I really like that movie, man. It's really good.
Yeah, it really is. And as Filio pointed out in the chat,
music's fantastic.
Yeah, the music's great throughout the entire franchise, right? Yep. No lie. Even the cheesiest of cheesiest, which is like
Bill Conti's music.
Burning Hearts by Survivor. Yeah.
Yes.
But you got me distracted by the music. Oh, Spilio said the music is great. The music really is great. I was singing the dun 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 dun. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
I forgot how the Tiger was like 3. Yes. But yes, 3 is until Eye of the Tiger, and I love Eye of the Tiger, but I forgot.
I know, you're always when you do the rewatch, you're always waiting to get to Eye of the Tiger. And if you don't realize that movie has Eye of the Tiger, Apollo Creed lets you know like 8 times.
Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger. Rockin. Let's do
that. Mentioned at the time what the twist it was that he didn't win the fight, but he is victorious at the end of the film, and that's another great thing that really. It's such a good movie. It's a perfect underdog movie. I can't think of one better. Mike, Rocky, what are your thoughts? What do you rate it?
So in 1975, Muhammad Ali fought Chuck Wepner. I don't know if you talked about that yet or not. So Chuck Wepner was an underdog that fought Muhammad Ali. He was 19 seconds short of going the distance. And he was only one of 4 men to ever knock down Muhammad Ali. And that was the basis of the story for Rocky. And Stallone saw that and he was really moved by it. And it's just like, this is his story of it. And it's really good. It's pretty hard hitting. And I like it. You have all said really great things about it. To jump on the music real quick. I love how it opens with it's I can't remember the dude's name right now to save my life. But he did Fanfare for Rocky. That's the first song that you hear. Because if you go back and watch the movie, you think it's gonna fly, but it's not. It's actually the Fanfare. And it feels like a very it's very moving. Like here it is. Like here comes this great epic, and then it's just like you see this story about this guy that's just down in the dumps and everything's just not going his way, but then he just he comes out of nothing. And man, I love and hate Paulie at the same time throughout this whole entire franchise. So I mean he's such a good character and a driving force for a lot of the stories. And man, it's just there's so much about Paulie that you can go into a lot of. And one of my favorite lines, and going to talking about like Apollo, there's so much to Apollo. One of the first things you hear Apollo say really is he's like, "Don't do sports, kids. Stay in school, do all this. Don't be a fighter like me." And it's kind of like there's so many little story, little hints of like things to do in your life to better than it's like, yeah, this is all great and everything, but you can be better if you have, the education and stay with it. And so there's just a whole bunch of like little stories like that. I can't find my little sheet of paper, but I don't want to go too long into it. But like the whole thing. Actually, you're talking about the love story between Adrian and Rocky, but I think this is a true love stories between Butkus and Rocky. So that's why he was going to the pet shop every day, was because of the dog. And Adrian saw it too, because that's why she got it to him as a gift.
I love when he gets punchy in Rocky Balboa. And I watched Rocky Balboa for the first time last night, so I can't wait to get to that one because I got some fresh thoughts on that one. But yeah, Mike, I get exactly what you're saying. There are a lot of relatable characters. And the thing is, any other franchise, you can't have a character like Paulie not grow. You got to have a moment and then like all of a sudden he's, Happy Hogan or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But they don't do that. He stays very real. And just like Rocky, and obviously Rocky, his journey is at the forefront, but Paulie is a very subtle character arc through these movies where it is a good person there, but that Paulie doesn't believe in himself.
Right.
Paulie is showing you what happens when you don't do what Rocky did and believe in yourself and go the distance. Paulie doesn't believe in himself, and that's his whole journey, man.
It's jealousy.
Paulie wants the job to be the leg breaker, to make the money, and it's just kind of like it's better. He doesn't. It's like he's cold. His hands. He's always complaining about the job that he has, and it's just like he wants the job that Rocky has because like he thinks that guy will take care of him, and that was kind of the weird thing is that in that whole entire movie that get the second-rate loan shark that he works for never extorts him or puts him out. Like it's very weird, like somebody of that kind of power to be like hey, like look at all the stuff I've done for you. Like it's time for you to pay me back a little bit. You never saw any of that, so it's that's a little suspicious right there that was never done.
Oh, I like that.
He's kind of a nice, wise guy,
Yeah, well, I like that, and I also know that because I watched some documentary or something today on YouTube, and they were saying that they didn't deal with the union in Philadelphia, so they made the first one like very like Lloyd Kaufman, right, of like Trauma Films, right? Like Lloyd Kaufman was the production manager or whatever, right, of the film, right? And it was like guerrilla filmmaking, dude. They were just like they took these things, they just went in and out. They didn't have any permission. The union was like, kind of. Think they were mobbed up, a lot of unions, they didn't want to fuck with this. Maybe that's why they're like, nah, this guy's good. He's good. Cause he always has Rocky's back. He's like, oh, you want to quit? That's fine. You never see a movie where dude's like, I want out. And they're like, cool.
Yeah. You can't be out. You got to break these thumbs.
Yeah. And he doesn't tell him like to take a dive or some shit like that. It's not a story. Like that would have been an easy route to take this story or to take this franchise. They never did.
It's an easier, like he didn't go Raging Bull or on the waterfront with the route, which a lot of people like. You watch a lot of. I mean, those are the two other big boxing movies, but it's one of those. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. It's like you compare Raging Bull, not Raging Bull, but on the waterfront of just because Mickey and Rocky have like there's a lot. Not Mickey the trainer, but Mickey from. Like there's a lot of comparisons to it.
Oh, yeah.
So. But yeah, it's a great film altogether. I give it a 5. So I wish we could go back and just do this one and like more. I've spent more time on it.
Well, that's what I love about the franchise reviews is that, yeah, we can, like we totally can just really unpack Rocky at one point because there's a lot to unpack, but a lot of it does get repeated throughout the franchise. And you guys have all hit the nail on the head. This is a 5 you digs movie. I want to see some ratings out there in the chat, y'all. What do you give the first Rocky out of 5 you digs? It's 5. It's a master film. Like it's actually meticulously crafted. The director, by the way, is John G. Avildsen. Yeah, he did the Karate Kid films, didn't he? I think.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did the first 3 Karate Kid films. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Because 3 kind of sucks, but it gave us Terry Silver. And he doesn't come back till 5 because then Sylvester Stallone takes over. But it's 5 you digs. The script is incredibly great, and I've always applauded Sylvester Stallone as a writer. Not everything he writes is gold, you know what I'm saying? And he's not done nothing but banging movies like First Blood and Rocky and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. However, he is a really good writer. And especially at this point in his career, you can feel that hunger. And what's crazy about the Rocky franchise is that the story of Rocky kind of mirrors the story of Sylvester Stallone a little bit. And it's very almost semi-autobiographical. So 5 you from me. Spilio gives it 5. Two Gun gives it 5. I think most people will. It'd be hard to not give this one a 5. I think it's a perfect movie. It deserved all the hype, and it definitely should have won Best Picture, I think, that year. But the network won, I think, didn't it? So I guess, that's understandable. But where's the network now? What has the network done for us lately?
That's what is the network? Is that a movie?
Yeah. It's a really good movie about. All right. Anyway, we're moving on. Rocky 2 came out 3 years later, 1979. There was immediate talks of a sequel. And a lot of people, including me in the past, has been like, Rocky 2 is just Rocky 1, but he wins. You know, like it's just like they were like, oh, we need to do it where he wins. But it's, man, let me tell you something about this movie. So my experience watching this movie this time was that the first hour, it's trying to be just like a drama. And then the last hour is where all the excitement is. And I would almost dare to say that the first hour of this movie is kind of boring. But that second hour actually makes up for it. And that first hour is a really good setup for this movie. So I don't think it's as perfect as part one, right? But I do really like this film. I do think that the pacing, as I was watching it, I was noticing how kind of slow it was. Then it speeds up, but it kind of works, right? And I also think that this is the best fight in the entire franchise. I know everybody's got their favorite fights for various reasons, but the Apollo and Rocky fight in part two, to me, felt more brutal and vicious and kinetic and fast and filled with just weight and momentum. Like, I was riveted watching Rocky 2's final act with the fight. Like, I thought it was amazing. I love the Apollo Creed stuff. We're getting more into his character. You had those slight bits that Mike was talking about where Apollo's like saying certain things like, don't be a fighter, get your education. But you see that develop a little bit more. Like, you see that pride start coming out, right? The idea that he's like, nah, I'm tired of these people talking like I'm a chump. Like, I beat the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, we beat the shit out of each other. And dude, 1 second difference in this movie on who wins. You know what I'm saying? Rocky got up on that last second, and it could have been either one of them. But what I love about it is it's not about the adversary. It's about respect for the challenge, including the adversary, if that makes sense. And that's something that really I love about the Rocky movies, because the only bad guys who are completely irredeemable are basically like Drago. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Clubber, but even Clubber, like we'll get to Rocky 3. But Rocky 2 for me is not as good as 1, but still pretty damn good. So Brooks, what do you think about Rocky 2? What do you rate it?
Well, I mean, I think Rocky 2 is the most. It kind of feels like Rocky 2 and Rocky 1 are almost the same movie in a way. It's because it's like, the first one like, it's very much about him and Adrian, like, how they finally, meet and, fall in love and everything. And in the first movie, the fight, like, his fight with Creed isn't just about, him, like, taking a shot, but he's trying to prove something to her. Like, he's trying to show her who he is, and what, that she's important to him. And like, he's fighting for her as well. So in the second one, when the big drama happens, when Adrian is in the hospital, it's like, he feels like, he's lost the whole reason that, he wanted to fight in the first place. And that's like, it's hard to watch because, Rocky's like such a, he's a fighter, but at this point he just can't even bring himself to do anything but like just sit and wait until Adrian wakes up. And then, when she says fight and he's back in there, and, he finally gets a chance to, to have a real shot at Creed, after having, actually gone toe to toe with Creed. He knows Creed better. He knows his fighting style better. So he has, he feels like he has a better shot. And another thing I always liked about, and it's kind of a thing they do in the other Rocky movies, is they show Creed training. Creed's in this, like, he's this fancy, super sterile gym, and with all this fancy equipment and shit. And then you see Rocky like chasing chickens and fucking running upstairs and like, doing this more primitive style of training. It's kind of like, that's just the thing that's in this, like, this idea that, it's not, you can't just be like, good. You have to be hungry too. You got to want it. You got to have the fire inside, the eye of the tiger and so on. I give Rocky 2 a 5 as well. I think it's as good as the first one for me.
So you're giving this one a 5 as well. Nice. I have been corrected by CTA Frank. Rocky did in fact win Best Picture, and Mike was telling me backstage that Sylvester Stallone lost Best Actor to Network, but he also lost Best Screenplay. That I think that's what I'm always thinking is that it should have won Best Screenplay, but yeah, Rocky did win Best Picture. So thank you for that. A 5 digs from Brooks on Rocky 2. Interesting. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about Rocky 2?
I like Rocky 2. The first hour though is kind of slow and moving and all this stuff. And the cringiest part for me is like the commercial when he's like he can't, he's not able to read and he's just this is my you know, that whole part was cringe to me, and I was just like, oh, but I got through it. But yeah, that second half where like she had to go to the pet shop and work and pick up those heavy things, and Rocky's just standing there while she's holding birdseed, like heavy ass birdseed. He eventually is like, "Hey, you'll know that for you," and I'm like, "Yes, man, you should do it first. Why is she lifting heavy things?" You know, and how he's just so flippant with his money. The second he's like that, he's got $41,000 of the taxes, and he's like buying cars and furs and gold watches, and you know, it's catching up to him.
That's where he gets the leather jacket with the tiger.
Yeah, he gets with the tiger on it.
Yeah,
I'm the tiger.
That's foreshadowing.
Yeah, yeah. But I love it. I mean, the best part, the part that almost had me tear up, is when the second time he's running, and he's running to the Philadelphia, what is it, State House? And he's running. Museum of Art. That's right. This is a museum of art. I never go to the museum of art before.
I didn't know there were pictures in there.
Pictures in there. But when he runs and he's running, and like it's his second shot, and everyone starts to see him, and those little kids start running with him, and then he's running, and the music's going. I'm like, take it higher, man. I was welling up, man. I was like, oh my god, oh, this is good. Oh, this is really good. Da, da, da. And I keep forgetting about it because I saw Rocky 2 like once on VHS like ages ago. Back then, I would have probably gave it like a 3 or something. But I love that scene. That's like one of my that's the best scene for me. Like, I don't know what it is. It's him running with all those kids, and then he gets up to the top, and everybody's like, he's got like this gigantic crowd around him now, and they're all like, yeah, yeah. And like I said, Rocky is such a positive character. You never see a dark side out of him. If there was like a Mary Sue character for Rocky, he's a Gary Stu or something like that, but he still has his ups and downs.
A Gary Stu.
Did
you tell me that just now, or is that something that exists?
I'm pretty sure it exists.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's probably out there. I'm just saying he's a Gary Stu.
What I love is that he's
such
positive, like you said, but he gets beat. He gets beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By life, not just by like.
It whoops his ass.
Yeah.
But
his fighting style is, let's let the guy hit me in the face until he gets tired, and then I'll beat the shit out of him.
And then I'll beat him. Yeah,
that's life, man. You just got to let life beat the shit out of you, and then you beat the shit out of it.
You get hit in the face.
It's like Captain America is very much a Rocky Balboa.
I can do this all day, yo. Hey, Apollo, I can do this all day.
And he gets hit so hard, like in the first part of the movie, he needs plastic surgery because they had to cut his eye, and he's like, Adrian's worried about his eye. She doesn't want him to go blind. Mickey's like, I don't want to train you because you'll go blind, kid. You know, he of course he still has no faith in him, and Rocky's still yelling at him and you know, trying to get him back in it. I love it. Like, I thought I would like Mickey more, but I don't know what it is about Mickey that just puts me off, other than, you know, he's the motivator. He helps him motivate him, and he loves him so much, but Mickey treats him like straight shit.
But it's just like with Polly, right? Where it's like, it's not like this idealized version of the trainer, of the mentor. He is a flawed character himself. And that's it in the first one, where like Rocky thinks he's gone, and he's screaming at him, bruh. He's like, it stinks.
Yeah. Stinks.
That's crazy, man. It's so good.
and it's so gritty, and it's so good. This movie is really good. Other than I take back. I mean, if they could cut out that first hour for me, I mean, it's a good setup, but it's just so and plus like
It feels like it drags a little bit.
it's a little draggy. Yeah,
yeah.
it does drag a little bit. So I'm gonna for this, I'll give this one. This will get a 4.
A 4.
I really love it though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Rocky 2. It's just as inspirational as the first one. It's just it drags a little bit. The music's still there. The cast is still there. Nothing's changed.
It's the longest of the franchise, right?
It is.
It's like right at 2, and it's amazing to me. I feel like how short most of the Rocky films actually are.
They're mercifully short, like 3 and 4, especially 4.
But, yeah, even 5 and 6 are short.
5 and 6 are short.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the longest one. It's like I said, it drags in places it doesn't need to drag. Like you could have pushed it up a little bit, or if you're gonna have something like that, put in the mob boss to say, "Hey, you owe me. You know, you won. You almost won this fight. You know, but you're getting money deals and you're getting commercials out of it. I want my taste. I want a cut. I wanted to see some of that, but that guy, I mean, he was solid throughout it too. Like even in the second one." I wish the asshole guy that was his driver was in the second one. That'd have been more fun too. You know,
that guy got fucking killed. Yeah. He's in the fucking river with some cement shoes right now, or some shit. Is there a river in Pennsylvania? Is there a river in Philly? I don't know, but
yeah, he got. But yeah, it's a good movie though. It's really good. I really like it.
They took his ass to Pittsburgh and dumped him in the 3 river. What they did. That's what they did. 4 you digs from Jelani. Mike, what do you think about Rocky 2? What do you rate it?
Man, I like Rocky 2 is good. I mean, it's not as good. I mean, it's kind of a repeat of Rocky 1 where he wins. So it brings it down in my rating a little bit because of that. But then again, the whole story is like the first one, Apollo wasn't hungry and he was very cocky and very arrogant. Especially like the scene where he's watching, like he's partying and his trainer's watching the TV. He's like, "Hey champ, you might want to look at this. Like this is what's going on." And then so for the second one, he's got that hunger back and he's just like, "I want to prove that like I want to hurt this dude because like I want to make sure to show that like this is like I'm serious now and I want to be taken serious." And so like Apollo's whole story in this one of his drive and his passion for boxing and everything just comes, it comes forward, and you see it a lot more. And then like Rocky's kind of getting a taste of the limelight, and he goes crazy and does spend a lot of money, and he buys the car, and he buys the watch for Paulie, which is kind of a key thing to the whole Rocky. Not rolled. I mean, it's like because he gives the car. He gets rid of the car because he can't afford anything. He's broke, and it's one of those. And then you kind of come back to this in Rocky 5 in a little bit in a way, but like, so he gets taken down a little bit, and it's just like the realization of like, hey, like I have to do better. And I can't believe I just went blank on Paulie's name. No, just Paulie. I was just like, so it's like Paulie's like he's like Paul. He thinks he does this great thing and gives him this watch, and then Paulie's very disrespectful and because he's like, it's just a watch. Like you give me a watch, but he gave me a car. But again, it's like it's more. You get more about Paulie, and it's just kind of like it's like what are you supposed to do?
Paulie's like allergic to being happy.
Yeah.
Like, he can't be happy about anything ever. He always
and it's
has
just like you got.
To be fucking pissy.
He got the job. Like he got Rocky's old job. Like Rocky, bought him a watch.
Gave him a car. Yeah.
And then Rocky couldn't afford the payments.
Right.
So he's asking Paulie if he could take over.
Paulie took over the payments. Yeah.
Paulie took over the payments and got the car.
So Paulie's working for his former boss in part 2, right? That's why he's like he's like seems better off, and that's the only time where you see that juxtaposition, right? Where that inversion, right, of Paulie being up and Rocky being down, right?
And he's up, but he's still not happy. He's still not happy, and it's like there's the stuff from Paulie. So it's like you get a lot of these characters that are the great characters that are just, it's something inside of them that's not like they're not happy. And I don't know if that's what Stallone was going for in the original writing process, or if this was something that like came around like during like the difference between writing and shooting of like what everything, because there's always cuts and changes and working shots of the movie and then versus the original movie. So Burgess Meredith, Mickey. It's Terry, actually, my bad, from On the Waterfront. It's Terry Malloy, not Mickey. So my bad on that. So, but Mickey in this one, I think it's Mickey's second chance too, just like Rocky's in all of these fights. And so it's just like Mickey just wants to prove himself to himself, and he wants to prove himself to Rocky. And it's just like you got to beat him with speed, and it's like you don't have the speed to do it. So, and as you can tell that Mickey cares about Rocky, and you see more of the father figure come out in this for Mickey. So it's pretty good. And speaking of the father figure, I think it's kind of cool. A lot of people don't like it, but like Adrian gets put in the coma, which gives Rocky, and it has to give Rocky some type of purpose. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to do it. So it's just one of those, like, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to see the kid until, Adrian's awake. Like, that's very moving and personal. Like, it's one of those, like, you want to go see your kids. Like, no, we're going to see her together. We're seeing them together. So, I mean, there's a lot to this movie. That's pretty good. You get to see the TV commercial. Like, I know that you said that was pretty cringe, and I think it does its job great to say, like, it's fish out of water. It's like, as much as everybody loves this dude, like, there's still people out there that are just like, why are we here? Why are we dealing with this guy? Like, you can't even talk. You can't even read. Like, and it's one of those, like, I wanted Rocky it's like he was it made him feel sorry for himself, and he was feeling down, and I just really wanted him to break out of that cage and punch the dude in the face. And so, but yeah. Overall, I mean, it's a great film. I like it. And my rating for it's 4.5.
4.5. All right. I'm gonna go with Jelani on here. I'm gonna go 4. I think 4 is very fair, and I love how Jelani's like, I like it, y'all. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna give it a 4. And it's crazy sometimes because we can be very harsh here on PCP Movie Night, and sometimes we like feel bad to knock something down just a point. 4 out of 5 is like 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good score, right? So to me, what I guess I'm trying to say is it's a great movie. It's fun. It's dramatic. It's got the best fight in the franchise. That elevates it a little bit. That fixes the pacing issues for me, actually. I love more rounding out of Apollo Creed, fleshing out his character a little bit. We get more of that as the series progresses, and I love that. I love the inclusion of Carl Weathers throughout this entire franchise, and he's still, the spirit of Apollo Creed is still alive. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's monumental. And I think Rocky 2 was great. I think if I would have watched it right after watching the first Rocky, it would have affected my viewing of it a little bit. I've seen some people in the chat. I think Ariaga was saying, if you watch it right after 1, it's perfect, right? And I could see that. But I like Rocky 2. I'm going to give it 4. 4 out of 5. So a 4 from me and Jelani, a 4.5 from Mike, and a 5 from Brooks for a PCP Army average of, what was that, like a 4. I don't know, like 469? Yeah. Yeah, 4.8 drain. 4.8 drain. All right, 1982. I am 1 year old. And Rocky 3 comes out, starring Mr. T, introducing Mr. T, actually, it says in the film. Also has Hulk Hogan in it as Thunder Lips. I remember being a kid obsessed with this movie because I loved 2 things. I loved 3 things when I was a kid growing up. Well, I loved a lot of things. 3 of the things I loved was Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and Rocky. I fucking loved this movie as a kid. This one and 4 have the most like I remember every goddamn bit. When I was watching it, I was I was craving Cheetos in a certain bag. I was craving certain sodas and cereals that don't exist anymore. I got taken back. I was like, I want my Thundercat pajamas right now. Like, I need these in my life. Glow in the dark Thundercats pajamas, y'all. Anyway, it took me back to being a kid. It has a nostalgic love for me that I adore and cherish. And it is so important for me for so many reasons. Y'all, this movie's fucking cheesy as shit. It is the most cheesy 80s fucking one out of them. And I know we're going to be talking about 4. We got thoughts. We got opinions and observations. However, part 3, as cheesy as it is, that cheese is the charm, right? This movie has jumped the gun a little bit from 1 and 2. It's not grounded anymore, but it's also kind of showing the flamboyance of Rocky's life now. It's chaotic, it's faster, it's quicker, it's shorter, it's like tight, you know, and it's like it moves at a really frantic kind of pace at times. I think the movie suffers because of that pace. This one I thought should have been 2 hours long, and there should have been a little bit more development to me on Clubber Lang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
I get it. Clubber comes in, he's hungry. He represents what Rocky lost, right? Rocky's
civilized.
Rocky's become Apollo.
Yeah.
In this one, right? His hubris now is starting to get to him. He's not understanding that he's being given these kind of cookie cutter fights, right? Because there's not really a contender for him. One shows up, takes this dude out. Killing Mickey at the exact same moment when Rocky loses the championship. I don't know, Sly. That's a bit like too on the nose, too obvious, too like just like me. We could have paced that out a little bit better. Like then you could have the idea that like Mickey dies after knowing that they lost. And then like now Rocky's like, oh, he died because we lost Adrian, you know, and shit like that. I don't know. I'm just going to say though, more development on Clubber would have really helped me out. Like rounding out that character more, because at a certain point in the beginning of the movie, you're like, this dude, like Rocky's full of himself right now. I'm on this dude's side a little bit. And then after that title bout, he just becomes mustache twirling villain, or should I say pitying the fool mohawk wearing villain. You know what I'm saying? But he does it so well. And Mr. Demi, this is the first time I think where he said pity the fool, you know, when he's like, no, I don't hate the man, but I pity the fool. I love it. So there's a bit of there's a part of this movie I will always love and treasure, but it is very cheesy, and it is lacking on some of its script work, I would say. Could have been workshopped a little bit more. Brooks, Rocky 3, starring Mr. fucking T. What do you think about it? What do you rate it overall?
I like Rocky 3. I think it's still pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have like the gravitas of the first two, I think. Like, you know, Clubber, like I like Clubber Lang, but he's a very one-sided villain. Like it's like, you know, Clubber Lang is hungry, and that's like all he is. Like
there's no layers.
You don't see him ever like enjoying anything. He's always angry and like just ready to. He just always wants to throw hands. It seems like with whoever. But he is very like, I love how he just like beats the shit out of Rocky in that first fight. And Rocky's like, holy crap, dude. So this is
I don't remember who I watched today. I was watching something today. I don't know if it was James over at Cinemassacre or if it was or Joe Blow. It was one of those two probably. But they pointed out that Dark Knight Rises is Rocky 3. Like it's the exact same movie. It's like this exact same movie. Clubber Lang is Bane.
Get back your city, fool. Yeah, I'd give Rocky 3 a 4. It's still pretty good, but it's definitely a little bit of a down step from the first two.
Wait, so what'd you give it? Did you give it something? Did you rate it?
4.
4. Okay, my bad. I think I got distracted by something. All right, 4 out of 5 for Rocky 3. All right, Jelani. Rocky 3. I pity the fool that ain't got no thoughts about Rocky 3. So why don't you tell us what you think and what you rated overall?
Man, this movie is hot cheese. It is hot, gooey cheese. And for some reason, I love it. And it's just, it's one simple thing. It's Eye of the Tiger. It's Eye of the Tiger. I don't know what it is about this. This is the Yeah, this is the 80s. This is like peak 80s. And this is like this movie couldn't have come out at a better time. Like it's flashy, it's fast, it's got a villain, like a real edgy villain with no, like I said before, with no layers. No one, he's just this one-sided villain that just comes in and beats snot out of Rocky. It shows that he's gotten soft, he's civilized. So it's like, I don't know. Mickey dies. All these things like culminate into things, because I saw Rocky 4 before I saw Rocky 3. So I was like, he was always Mickey, Mickey. I was like, who the hell's Mickey? And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, Mickey's that guy from the first movie. That's all I remembered, because I remember 4. We'll talk about that, but 3, oh my goodness, oh Thunderlips, and by the way, fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck Hulk Hogan. There, I'm done. But his performance was crazy too. Like it's a charity event. It's a charity wrestling event.
I love how he's going
boxing.
Like beating the shit out of this dude, and you're like, damn, he's doing it for real. And then at the end, he's like, oh man, it's all for the camera.
It's all for the camera.
I love that Stallone was like picked him up and threw him over there. And it's like, you could tell he's like barely holding on. Like, holy shit, this dude's so fucking heavy, man.
Yeah, he's trying it. He's trying it. Like, but once again, it shows that Rocky is like this superhero. Like to the kids.
This is a movie where he dropped below 3% body fat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's super. I think that's what this one's from, man. He's like super like
shiny and cut.
He has to learn how to get faster. So yeah, because he's trained by Apollo.
He's trained by Apollo.
Dude, this is the best training sequences.
By the way,
montages.
Yeah, of montages, and this is another thing I was going to say about this movie. The love story is with Adrian in it, but the love story is Rocky and Apollo Creed. Like you can tell that there's something there. I mean, I'm not trying to make there, but what I'm saying is their friendship, their bond is strengthened in this movie after the loss, because like he's there, Apollo's there as an announcer watching it. He's like, Rocky will win. Rocky's got that heart, man. He's the one that beat me up. But the problem was Rocky lost the eye of the tiger.
Well, he also got dissed by Clubber.
Yeah, and he got dissed by Clubber. Yeah. So, and Clubber Lang was just, like I said, he's just a one-note villain. I love Mr. T though. I love how evil he is in this movie. Like, but yeah,
the only time he ever played the villain, by the way.
Right. And I like how. Well, I don't like how he's not fleshed out. He needed to have more layers to him. He needed to be more than just, I'm gonna beat you, fool. You know, throughout this movie, and
he delivers those lines so good, though, man. He's like,
does.
What do we expect out of this? Pain. They said that his mom at the premiere walked out of the premiere, right? But then in the scene when he's talking to Adrian, he's like, I bet you want to know what a real man looks. I bet you stayed up at night and wasn't a real man. His mom's like, I taught you not to speak to women like that, and left. Like, no, just like,
yeah, it's a movie, Mom.
And he never played a villain again. I'm not even kidding, man.
Yeah, that sounds right. He loves his mama. He did a whole WWE Hall of Fame speech about his mama. So yeah, he loves his mama. But yeah, it's such a great film. I mean, I don't know what it is, but Eye of the Tiger like puts it over the edge for me. So I'm gonna give it 4.5. It's mercifully short. It gets in there, it gets out. It's a beating. Mickey dies. It's a low point for Rocky after he's had such a high of being the champion, but all those fights, Mickey admits that were fixed, and to protect him, all these weird things, and and Mickey dies. It's Burgess Meredith. I love Burgess Meredith. He's Penguin, but I don't know what it is about Mickey's character. I just didn't like it. I don't know what it. After rewatching these movies, and a lot of people love Mickey. I get it. But I just don't like Mickey. I mean, as a trainer, I just thought he was a dirtbag, and he was just a dirtbag throughout the deal, even up to his death. But but Rocky loved him so much, and even in 5, when he's like, "You got the thing, I'm gonna give you the thing." I know we're getting there, but Rocky 5. But it's just 3 is peak 80s. like right next to Rambo films. You just eat it with popcorn. You just watch this movie, you eat it with popcorn. You're just like, yes, I'm a tiger. That's what this movie is to me. So
it's the same year as First Blood, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's either the same year or the year after, right? So
yeah, somewhere close.
First Blood's
yeah,
like 82, right? That's 82.
No, First Blood's 81.
81. Okay.
It was 81. Yeah.
Well, what a follow up.
It's hot cheese, man.
That's
I love
a palate
it.
cleanser for sure. Yeah. No, it is hot cheese, and the training montage is great. I love, like, in case you didn't realize Polly was racist, we're really going to be
really racist.
Part fucking 3.
Yep.
And then I love the training sequences because it's smart. Like, because Apollo's like, what you're missing is speed, defense, agility. And you see that training. And Stallone was...
He trains in all these.
Stallone was nice, I think, in Rocky 3. I'm just going to say that real quick, and then we're going to move on. 4.5 from Jelani. Mike, what did you think about Rocky 3 overall in your rating?
Well, I mean, Mickey's not really trash. I mean,
I didn't say he was. I just don't like him.
I know, but it's like Mickey. He's like, they have that in the first one. It's like, why'd you give away my locker? And he's like, do you want to know? Yeah, I want to know. You want to know? I'll tell you what. It's like you could have been somebody, but you became a leg breaker. And it's just kind of like, he's like, I believed in you, and I kept believing in you, and like, you're not going to do. Like, you're not doing what's best for you. So, like, why should I believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? And then, like, it's like, oh, shit. And then he's like, and then they start working together. And then Adrian's in the coma, and, like, everything's falling apart. And he's still there, like, trying to keep the fire alive. And then and then everybody's not perfect, and he fails, and like Mickey loves Rocky, and he's trying to protect Rocky, and that's why, he threw him some cream puff fights, and like he's doing what he was best for Rocky, and it's just like he knows that, but yeah, and he's like he knew that Clubber Lang was going to destroy him, and that's why he was trying to keep him away from it, but eventually it's like it was bound to happen, and he knew that, and it's just, and I mean. You're telling me that you're going to go out there, like, yeah, Rocky was very arrogant, and he played the role of Apollo in this one. But, like, are you going to tell me, like, I mean, some people, there's some sports stars that did it. The first person that comes to mind is the Isaiah Thomas for the Celtics, not the Pistons Isaiah Thomas, but, like Isaiah Thomas, like, went out there and played the game of his life when he found out that his sister died. So it's one of those, like, you have people that go out there and they're just they put on the absolute best because their heart's broken and that's what they're doing. And then sometimes it's like, can you really go out there and perform at your best when you just found out, like, you just watched your trainer and your father figure just die in front of you? Like, it's kind of rough.
It is rough. It is very rough.
And so I think it's a little, like, that's really, it's a very emotional thing, and he wasn't there, and he's not right mind. I like how Apollo, like, you don't think that, like, Apollo would be a friend to him because it's like he's kind of embarrassed him twice. He's kind of not really disrespected him, but it's just kind of, there's a mutualness between each other there, but it's like, hey, like, this friendship it's kind of great. And then, like, that friendship even rolls into Rocky 4. So, and that's one of the things too. It's kind of like you learn more about, like, Apollo's life in this.
Yeah. Where he's from, his background, where he trained from.
Yeah.
And we've gone this whole time without mentioning Duke, by the way.
True.
Duke is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And
Duke doesn't really, like, Duke becomes, like, he's great in everything.
He gets fleshed out here.
But he's fleshed out in 4.
But like here in particular, I think because I love that he was in Balboa. I love that.
Yeah.
Balboa.
I love that he was in the training speech he gave Balboa. How are we getting there?
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. It's
just like there's so,
man.
I mean, it's so he's coming along. I mean, Stallone in his writing is bringing in a lot of characters, and I mean, even because, like, Paulie's what's Paulie's problem in this one? You know, like I don't remember.
His problem is that he's Paulie.
Because it's Paulie, and I can't remember if this is the one.
He's back at the meat factory in this one, isn't he? Like, he's the man. Is he managing or something? I don't know what he's fucking doing in this one. I don't remember.
The third one, I don't remember what Paulie's doing.
It's like it's
being Paulie, like Brooks said.
Yeah.
He's either, no, 4 is when he's having sex with the robot.
4 is when he's got the robot, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Paulie.
So, but I mean, there's so much to this movie. It's big, dumb, and cheesy. Yeah, there are some shades, like with Mason Dixon and Balboa.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of he could have easily been a color. They flushed his character out just a little bit more, but he had a potential to be a cover Lang. So I mean, there could have been more to it. It's a good fun movie, but it doesn't have the meat that it needs. But you get important roles for it's important for the story of the whole entire thing. So
because he's champion, he made the money. He's famous now. He can read. He's got like the Lamborghini now. Ads or Maserati ads. He's made it. This is the movie where he's like, I made it. I'm somebody, and it all comes crashing down, with his hubris and his ego. It all crashes down because he refuses to train. And then finally, when he gets beat back, he's put back in, and he gets out of the tiger. Because that's why I love this one.
But he makes a whole spectacle of it, like you talked about earlier, where it's like the girl kisses him on the cheek, and Adrian doesn't like it, and Mickey's just like, "Can we get out of here and go back to the gym?" It's like, no, this is that's what he's. It's him being Apollo, and it's just
right.
And even Apollo is just kind of like, oh god, what the hell? Like, just a nice reflection of Apollo's life. So, but yeah, I mean, and then is it this one? What trunks is he in this one?
The yellow and black.
Yellow and black.
Yeah, but at the end he's wearing the red, white, and blue because Apollo.
Yeah, because Apollo gives him. Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of those trunks are very important to the whole Rocky Creed story. I know we're not talking about Creed, but like those trunks are very important to the story. So I think even later on. So it's just kind of funny, like those trunks that he wears, the red, white, blue trunks are just. It's funny how that becomes like a big. They're actually a device throughout the whole entire their series, anthology, whatever you want to call it. Even within Creed 1 and 2. So it's still kind of interesting. If I'll give this one, I'll give it a 4.
A 4. All right. I love this movie. I think it's great. I have a lot of nostalgic value in this film. But it is cheesy. And it doesn't have a lot of good development on certain characters. I will give this one an enthusiastic 3.5 is what I'm going to give it. I'm going to be honest with these Rocky films tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm turning over a new leaf, y'all. I'm a real critic now, right? Like, why not? I've been on stage with Amy Jo Johnson. I might as well now decide to be a real critic. So anyway, 3.5. Clubber Lang being a little bit more rounded out. Could have really sold it for me. Great montages, though. Absolute good gold cheese. Really good movie. I got to look back at what I actually gave Cobra because this is a better movie than Cobra.
real quick, the Heat won.
Nice.
Quick, Robbie, the Heat won.
Hell yeah. That's over then, right?
No, it's just 3-1.
3-1. Our Lakers should be playing right now, I think. So, yeah, we got that going. Anyway, so where was I? 3.5. So 3.5 from me. A 4 from you, Mike? Right?
Yeah.
4.5 from Jelani and a 4 from Brooks for a PCP average of 4.0069. So there you go. Big Herm's just going to give them all a 5, except for probably 5, but that's what happens. All right, we're about to take a quick break because we've gone through half the franchise. But when we come back, we'll be talking about Rocky 4. But before we go, remember, rising up back on the street, Did my time and took my chances. Oh, went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. Welcome back, everybody, to PCP Movie Night here on Pop Culture Philosophers. We're talking about the Rocky franchise right now. We've already talked about Rocky, Rocky 2, and Rocky 3. We're about to talk about Rocky 4 from 1985. Now, most of us will very vividly remember this movie because everybody here on the panel, this is our era for sure. In 1985, most of us are remembering movies, or at least in 1986, 87, when maybe you saw it on VHS or something, right, Brooks? But like, Rocky 4 is ingrained in my head. And when I think of Rocky movies, I think of Rocky 4. The first time I can really remember being distraught and fully in despair over the death of a fictional character was Apollo Creed in this movie. It wrecked me as a kid, man. Wrecked me. I could watch horror movies at this point. Nightmare on Elm Streets, Friday the 13th, Halloween's. But man, Rocky 4 and Thriller fucking just twisted me all kinds of up. You know what I'm saying? Rewatching Rocky 4 was what I was most looking forward to that one, right? Rocky 4 is not a good movie. Okay? I'm just going to say that. Rocky 4 is not a good movie. It is the shortest of all the Rocky films. Not that that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing in the case of this film. There is no story aside from the whole USSR versus USA. There is no other story there. I mean, there's the revenge stuff with Apollo. Man, the pacing in this movie is fucked, bro. Like they rush into the Apollo Creed death and tragedy so fucking quickly, and then they barely let it resonate throughout the rest of the film, obviously, but like they very quickly then get into the like every goddamn Rocky movie has this moment where it's like a big chunk of the movie where him anguishing whether or not he wants to fight, right?
Yeah.
So there's then there's that. Then there's a fucking training montage at one point, a quick scene, another fucking training montage. Now I get it. Rocky is supposed like training montages. We like it. Music videos. Ooh, bruh, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. That's great. Let's bring them back. Bruh, let's just be honest. They did not reach the level of Eye of the Tiger. However, Burning Hearts, that's in the
It's a burning heart.
It grows on you. You know, it grows on you. It has been documented. It has been studied and proven 20% of this movie is a training montage. 20% of this movie are montages. 20% of an hour and a half movie. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Anyway, that being said, it has nostalgic value for me. But man, there's like the idea of what if a Russian guy came in, it's USA versus the Soviet Union, and the Russian guy kills Apollo Creed. Now, Rocky has to go over there and fight him. And I don't know, like this is like one of the weaker fights to me too. Like, I mean, there's some moments in like when Dolph Lundgren and Rocky or Sylvester Stallone are like sparring or something, he hits him too hard in the heart and it like knocks it back and it gets enlarged. He had to go to the ICU for 5 days and shit. Like there are real brutal punches in all of these films. Like they're filming this stuff for real, especially in 4 and 6. I know that like those are real punches that you're seeing for the most part. And even then it just doesn't feel dynamic. It feels cheesy. I mean, it's cheesy, and I get it, man. I have that nostalgic love too. But Rocky 4 is not a good film, in my opinion. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about Rocky 4? What do you rate it?
Yeah, it's not as good as the first 3, but it's still a Rocky movie. That's kind of the thing, though. It feels like they just like, let's do a Rocky movie, but let's just like have this like USA versus the Soviets kind of bent to it, and it kind of works in a way, but it makes it kind of dated too. You know, it's very much like got a lot of that Cold War sentiment in it, and like when I was watching this and like when Apollo fights Drago and the whole opening ceremony of that, where he's throwing all this rah America bullshit in his face, I was like, God damn, dude, I kind of like, I love Apollo, but he's kind of asking for it.
He is.
He's like,
I was gonna get into that, but yeah,
he's like just pissing in this dude's face for no reason. But it does, it is fun. Like I like the fact that he trains in Russia, and like you see the Russian people looking over at this dude like just running through the snow and shit. And I like the sentiment at the end, like where he's like, we're all the same, everybody's, it doesn't matter, Russian, American, whatever. But it's
any nation stand alone or whatever the fuck, right?
And they even kind of hint at Drago like having problems maybe with like his handlers and like the government officials that he has. Like you get the feeling like that he's kind of like they're kind of controlling him, and he's he wants to like be his own man, but like he kind of can't because he's under the shadow of these like authority figures.
Yeah, he's got a burning heart too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And he must break you. But yeah, it is another step down. I'd give it a 3.5. It's still
okay.
It's still pretty good. It's a Rocky movie, but it doesn't quite have the heart of even like the first three Rocky movies.
I know there's a lot of people in the chat that love Rocky 4. And I just want to quote Drago himself and say, as far as our review on this movie, if it's bad, it's bad. We just got to move on, right? If he dies, he dies. Anyway, maybe we'll hear something different from Jelani. 3.5 from Brooks. What about you, Jelani? A step down or a step up? Step above.
Well, I mean, it's a mixed bag for me, to be honest, because Rocky 4 is like nostalgia berry. Like, this is the first one I saw. This is the first Rocky I ever saw. I didn't see this in the theater. I watched this like I think this was an HBO one where I watched it, and I watched it all the time because it's just one of those movies that was just that good. And I thought, Drago was a dirtbag for killing Apollo Creed. I was like, how dare you kill Apollo Creed? That was Muhammad Ali for me. You know what I'm saying? He's this big, imposing, fast character that just gets shot down by this tree trunk of a man. And the tree of a man just knocks him out and kills him. And I'm like, what the crap? If he dies, he dies. And it's he's so brutal about it. And by the way, Brigitte Nielsen can get it. Even now, I don't even care because that was Flavor Flav's lady now. But Apollo was asking for it. He was asking for it, Brooks. Because he did the James Brown living in
He was like the cartoon guy that does the chin thing to the little guy.
Yeah. It's just so much, man. You just don't do that. Like, first of all, you insult the Russians who have no sense of humor. And like you're coming at people that like dedicate themselves. They're just cold and eat bread and think cold thoughts all the time, and you joke on them. No, you don't do that. You respect people. Be like, hey, this is gonna be a good fight, whatever. And maybe Drago wouldn't have gone like so ham on him, but he insulted the handler guy, and he insulted Drago in that press conference, and it was just like, please kill me, please kill me now. And that's the vibe you get from that. But like, I love all of that though, because it builds up to the death. It builds up to Rocky training. It builds up to hearts of fire, strong desire. I love the soundtrack of this. I'm sorry, this soundtrack is what gets me. It's this, Eye of the Tiger, Hearts on Fire, and what was the other one? What's the third? The other training montage. There are like 3 songs in here that are just so baller that you're just like, oh yeah, I remember why I love this movie. I do remember it. So I'll give this one. This one's up there with Rocky 3. I'll give this 4 or 5. It's short. It's merciful. It's to the point. He gets his revenge. It's a great fight to me. Not the best fight. The best fight is still Rocky 2. It's just, well, actually, you know what? It's a tie between Rocky 2 and Rocky 1, to be honest. Because, like, Rocky takes a beating. This one, he takes a beating, but it's, like, not, I don't feel the weight of it, even though this man, like, hits, like, 1,000, 1,800 PSIs or whatever of pressure to the head. That means he should have been killing Rocky, too, but Rocky's head is made of rock. Yeah. He's unstoppable.
His power level is over 9,000.
And he's punching him full on in the face, just like he did Apollo Creed. And Rocky should have been just as dead or brain damaged after that. Well, he was brain damaged. That's 5. But it's just, I don't know. He looks great. Yeah, he does look great. He's very cut. But 3 was his peak. But as far as his looks, yeah, I'll give it 4 or 5.
4.5.
They're kind of tied. 3 and 4 to me are like nostalgia berries.
Yeah, man.
Like, they're not 5s. They're not 5s, but like,
no, I get it.
And they're Rocky too, but like, I don't know what it is because I had to watch it, and then I watched like the second half of it again just to be sure I loved it. But I love that movie, man. It's shit.
Now, one thing I haven't done is watch the new director's cut of Rocky 4, which cuts out like the robot. And
I love the robot, by the way.
I
mentioned the robot.
Cuts out a lot of the kid stuff, I think, and
I don't know. The robot.
Yeah.
The kid in this one is Doofy. I forgot about to mention the kid in fucking Rocket 3. I hate that kid. I hate that dumb. He's just useless, stupid, useless fucking kid for Rocky 3. I know, but the time he's in it, I'm like, ugh, God, I hate that kid. He's just so round faced and dumb.
Yeah, Delaney's notorious for not liking children in film.
Yeah, it's true. But then in 4, it's a different kid but he's not as doofy, and he's got like his little friends watching the fight and rush and whatnot. But he's not as doofy as the first.
Don't worry, we'll be getting to 5 very soon. You'll have plenty of time to complain about a child. All right.
Yeah, but the robot, I forgot about the robot. Yeah, I absolutely love the robot. I want that. I want a version of that robot.
And I love how he managed to turn it into his waifu.
Yeah.
Somehow. Polly actually figured out how to program this robot.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, this dude's a genius, right?
He's Polly.
Right. What about you, Mike? What do you think about Rocky IV overall, and what do you rate it?
This is just a big piece of propaganda shit. To me. No, I'm just kidding. It is propaganda, but it's not a piece of shit. I think this is the Rocky film that a lot of us children of the 80s remember the most out of all of them. Because mostly it's it's USA, it's America, it's right after the Olympics. There's so much love for this one. It was the one we talked about in school.
This movie may have ended the Cold War. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not too long afterwards, right?
We need to change.
And I mean,
You change.
It is. I mean, it is what it is. So you get to see a lot more Duke, which I think is great. You can see we get to really fall in love with this character, and I think the difference between Mickey was always like a good amateur trainer. Apollo and Duke were better professional trainers, and I think if Mickey was still here, he would. Rocky
He'd have messed it up.
No pain. No pain. No pain.
No pain.
That's what I need when I work out. It's just somebody screaming at me, sweaty as fuck. Like, why are you so sweaty, bro? You ain't doing nothing. You're just screaming. But he's just sweaty as fuck. Like, no pain. No pain. Like, yes, I fucking get it, dude. Okay.
It's just, I mean, this movie, the fight's okay. Like, the whole thing is just, it's basically like, hey, here you go. Rocky gets pounded for 12 rounds, and then he comes back strong for 3. So it's just.
Well, he broke his fucking hand, right? In that
yeah.
No, that's
that's Mason Dixon.
That's Balboa. I'm sorry, got it mixed up.
And then it's just it's the whole, and this is I know it's kind of a spoiler for you, Robbie, but you get Draco kind of wants his revenge in Creed 2. So it's kind of like you get that. It comes back around. So, but this is where the trunks come in again. Like he's wearing the red, white, and blue. Then Rocky's wearing the red, white, and blue again. So it's all, I don't know. It's just, I mean, this movie is what it is. It sucks that Apollo dies, and so it's just, and then. I don't know. This leaves there's a huge theory between 4 and 5 that I'll get to next if y'all don't. But yeah, so it's, I don't know. I give this one I give this one a 3.5. It's still fun. It's still great to go back and watch. Like, I don't know if you remember, I was in the car when I told Robbie about it's like I just watched Rocky 4. And it's like, what'd you think? And I was just like, I'll wait till you talk about it. It's the two montages is what it's like here he's dropped. It's like this movie this movie is a montage. Like half of it's a montage. It's like I'm driving around in the dark in my car with the T-tops. With the T-tops or it's convertible, like thinking about life. And then Drago's training, and then I like this. I did like that. Like Drago's using, all this technology, and Rocky's out there lifting sticks and wood.
Man versus machine.
Right? So it's just like it doesn't matter what you use. Like it's like all this technology didn't help Drago.
I'm like, you mean they're making Rocky fight in fucking Russia with no weights? What?
He
I love it. Like, we have the equipment you
he chose that place too.
Yeah, they're like, we have the equipment you requested, and I was like, what did he request? Like a cart and some fucking
I want a house,
a basement. Like, what the fuck?
Big lugs.
Yeah, but I will say this: I have been in like where snow is 3-4 feet tall, and like when he's running through that, like it's like trying to run like on sand, like
Polly falling in
that's
the snow
intense.
is one of the best parts of the entire franchise, right?
So like waist up, like it's hard to move through snow if you've never had to, and then you're trying to run, like that's a workout, especially trying to go up a mountain. So
yeah, how do you beat the steps of the whatever the fuck?
Yeah, it's like you had to go step up from the stairs. Now it's the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And now on that mountain there's a Rocky statue.
Yep.
No, there's not. I was just made that up.
All
All right,
take it down because nobody wants to go up and.
You know, the Rocky statue is no longer at the top of the steps; it's at the bottom of the steps.
No, is it?
They move it?
It's at the museum. It's in the museum now because they had to take it down. They took it down like in 2012.
I thought it was at the bottom of the steps now.
Yeah, it's in the museum now. I think it's the Museum of Art now. Like in the museum where you run up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. For me, I'm going to give Rocky IV 3 out of 5 digs. It's not a good movie at all. Like this
it's short, man. Get it.
It's a terrible script. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got good cheesy moments. I love it. I think it's good. 3 is to me the weakest of the franchise.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Now those are some fighting words. So let's get into it. Rocky V, 1990. PCP average, by the way, on Rocky IV. So 3.5 from Mike and Brooks, and a 4.5 from Jelani, and a 3 from me for a 3.69. All right. Rocky V, 1990. This was the first movie, the Rocky movie, I think, that I watched as it was released on VHS. I never saw any of these films in theater. I had only ever seen Rocky V once when I was a kid, and I fucking hated it. I thought it was boring. I was like, obviously a fan being a kid in the 80s of Rocky 3 and 4. So I'm like, what the fuck is 5? You know, 5's a piece of shit. Like there's not even a boxing match in 5, right? It's like a street fight or something. I thought it was so stupid. Tommy Gunn was stupid. The Don King wannabe was stupid. All that shit. I rewatching it this week. I rather enjoyed the film. I liked it, honestly. So Sylvester Stallone directed 2, 3, and 4, and they brought back the dude who did the first one for 5. And they're attempting to bring it back to that grounded, gritty reality, like that Brooks was talking about, right? But it doesn't quite work because you got to get there in a really weird way where just all of a sudden, matter-of-factly, they're like, oh, Polly signed power of attorney to our accountant. Like, how did you do that? Like, what the
Bernie
fuck?
Madoff.
Yeah.
And of course, Polly does not take responsibility at all.
Not at all.
Tries to blame Adrian for it.
Yeah. You told me about him. Polly's a piece of shit in these films.
He is a piece of shit.
He's a prick.
What I like about part
This solidifies 5. It solidifies it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I like about part 5 though is it does take it back to the streets a little bit. I think it does it more successfully in the next film, right? But in this one, I actually did appreciate them going back to their humbler beginnings. I liked the nostalgia of that, like reflecting back on the first movie. I love Sylvester Stallone in the film. I like the stuff with him and his kid. I like the journey. I like that he gets so excited to he's been lonely since Apollo's gone. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a friend except for Paulie. You know what I'm saying? Paulie's his best friend outside of Apollo. And he just thinks he's almost like rediscovering his youth and living vicariously through Tommy Gunn. Now,
there's
Tommy
also
is
a reason for that. So I'll get to that in a second.
okay. Well, Tommy, they bring in a real boxer, Tommy, whatever his name is, right?
Tommy Gunn. Oh, well, yeah, I don't know his real name.
It's Tommy something in real
Tommy
life.
Morrison. Is it Tommy Morrison?
Morrison?
Tommy
Okay.
Morrison.
But he's terrible. He's terrible in the movie. And the movie's got really bad, late 80s, early 90s, what white executives thought hip hop sounded like. So it's got that.
Yes.
Basically, if you get a cheap ass Casio keyboard and you click on one of the rap beats, this is what you hear. So it's got some of that. But I actually still like it. I like the fact that it goes back I like the fact that it tries to ground it again. Rocky's wearing his hat again. He's wearing the jacket. Like, I don't know. There was something about it that I liked it. Maybe it was because my expectations were so low on the rewatch. And I don't know. I liked it more than 4. I'll say that and just pass it over to Brooks. Brooks, what do you think about Rocky 5?
Yeah, I like this better than 4 too. It is like, I remember watching this as a kid and like not liking it as much. It's a very drama heavy entry in the franchise, but watching it this time, I actually kind of appreciate it more. Like the whole thing of Rocky, he goes back to his roots, and now he's starting over, and he's basically going to be Mickey to this kid. And, he gets to see what could have happened to him if Mickey hadn't, reined him in, like he sees this kid, he gets all caught up in the fame and the hype and all this. He gets pulled in by this Don King type character. And so now Rocky's seeing he's it could have been worse. I could end up like that, if I hadn't had, had a good support structure like Mickey and Adrian, and even to an extent, Paulie. Because I do think Paulie's kind of like an anchor for him. His negativity does kind of serve a purpose, I think, in Rocky's role. Sometimes you just have that guy who's he's kind of a dick, but he's still your boy. But I thought this movie was. I definitely liked it better than 4. I'd give this one a 4. I think.
Oh wow! Okay, nice. A 4 for Rocky 5 from Brooks. What about you, Jelani? Rocky 5. I'm eager to hear this. And by the way, that's Rocky's real kid.
Yeah,
in the movie playing his son. He's no longer with us, right? I think he passed away.
He died in 2012.
Yeah, but that's his real kid, and he caught a lot of flack for that. And the kid got a lot of criticism. It's almost like Sophia in Godfather. Yeah,
same thing. Nepotism at its finest.
It's a fucking earring. It's that God. Twerpy ass fucking earring that a kid gets when he's trying to get hard and smoke cigarettes, man. Anyway, Jelani, what do you think overall?
My God, Rocky 5. I watched Rocky 5 as a kid at Cinema 8. I remember it well. My cousins had come into town. I think it was our family reunion, and we wanted to watch a movie together. And we were like, we love Rocky. My cousin loved Rocky. He was like, "Hey, man, you want to go see Rocky 5?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll go watch Rocky 5." And I had seen the commercials for it, and I was like, I wasn't into it because I thought it was going to be like Drago again for some reason. And I was like, "Oh gosh, he's going to fight Drago again or something." But then I saw this other guy with a mullet, and I was like, "Okay, or whatever." So I went to watch it. I was so disappointed. It was one of the movies I was just in the theaters, "Is this over yet? Is this over yet? Can we go home?" I was just that obnoxious. It felt like that because it was just they took all his money away. 3 and 4 were his glory days, and then all of a sudden Bernie Madoff takes his money, and and he's now back in the dumps, and and whatever. So now that I've watched it again, and I watched it Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, I watched it Sunday. And I watched it, and on my second watch, it's okay. It's not as bad as I've put it in my head as long as I did. Because I can't speak ill of Tommy Morrison or Sage Stallone. Even though I hate kids in film, Sage Stallone is by far the biggest plank of wood in the world as far as child actor. But he's nowhere near that kid that was in that stupid ass what movie did we watch that Joe watched?
You guys notice that Frank Stallone has a lot of songs on the soundtrack?
A lot of Frank, a lot of nepotism going on in 5. I didn't. Tommy Morrison is all right.
That's why Sylvester Stallone was like, "I draw the line. I won't direct this one."
Yeah, I won't direct it.
Eat for this one,
right? But you can tell it's just not the quality of it isn't that great. The one thing I do enjoy though, which I hated when I was a kid because it wasn't in the ring, first of all, but I love the street fight in this movie this time. I don't know what it was.
It does get a little absurd.
It does
at times. It's trying to do what John Carpenter did in They Live.
Yeah,
Keith David
put on the glasses.
Piper, but
you couldn't do it. It's not there.
How many times has Rocky think he's won the fight, and then Tommy just comes right back?
I'm gonna get you. But Tommy was such a fool. I mean, I knew he was going to jail because he punched way too many people. Like, this is a heavyweight champion, like straight jacket and punching like regular people on the street, and like with cameras in front of him, acting a fool and not expecting to get arrested. I know he went to jail for. I mean, they don't explain it at all, but I'm pretty sure he went to jail for a while. And they took that belt away from him. But it's just little things like that. I didn't like the development of Tommy. He's just, I'm a boy from Oklahoma. I want to fight. He wasn't. I don't know what it is, but getting a real boxer to be in this character, I mean, he just didn't feel authentic, and I'm surprised because he just wasn't an authentic character, or didn't show. Because all of a sudden, the second the money was in his face, he was just, oh, money, oh, good,
It was more than just money. It was also
it's women.
Yeah, it was some women.
Poontang. But when can I get the title shot? I mean, you don't get. I mean, yes, Rocky should have of course, you go to the title shot, we get the money, and we're out of this slum,
Yeah, and you got the commentary too about Don King in the film, right? And there's even a Mike Tyson-esque character at the beginning of the film, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could fight him any day in Mike Tyson and Balboa, but it's just it doesn't feel real. Like, it didn't feel like that would really happen. I don't know. Yeah, sure, Rocky lost all his money and whatnot, but I'm sure that he could have fallen back on something that he's done. All the endorsements, all the things. I'm pretty sure something would have happened where there was enough outcry for him to get his money back, or something. And I always, as a little kid, I was always waiting for him to get back his money and get back his stuff. I don't know why. It's just that's because I only remember 3 and 4 at that point, and I'd never seen him like not be Rocky, and this was like the most not Rocky I thought he was. Although the Street Fighter is baller. I mean, he's doing some moves though. He punching folks. He's not just using his fists. He's playing.
Sure,
yeah, he's all yuking in. He's like clipping the leg. He's doing a whole bunch of like real dog street fighting, which we never saw.
You love how in every fucking one of these movies, after one, they're like, if you have another fight, you might die because of this one thing.
Your brain.
And then he goes into the fight, and it never happens.
No repercussions. He never goes blind. He never has the supreme.
He gets punched in the face 20 times.
Yeah, he gets hit by a truck. He's alive, and I'm like, oh god, all right, and nothing goes wrong. His head is made of like straight granite. That's all I think. He's like, I never broke my nose before in the first movie.
And this motherfucker's not even trying to block in these movies, dude. He's just like,
hit me in the face. Just hit me in the face. It's okay. I'm gonna
you probably count the number of times Rocky blocks a punch on like one hand.
Yeah,
throughout the entire franchise.
But throughout the entire franchise, everybody's always like, "Put up your hands,
do something." Block. He doesn't do it. It's like he never learned it. Mickey didn't teach him. Duke didn't teach him. Apollo didn't teach him how to put his hands up and block. Nope.
They taught him to do the head moves later on.
Yeah, he does the head moves, and that's it.
Oh, he's so badass in part 3 when he's like fucking dodging and all that shit, dude. Oh,
and he's got the body punches. He's got solid body work. I love. By the way, I should have prefaced my entire thing. I love boxing. Boxing is next to football is gold to me. I absolutely love. I watched every Mike Tyson fight up until he lost. I watched almost every Evander Holyfield fight. I used to watch heavyweight bouts all of the time. I absolutely adore them. And this is like as far as boxing franchises, Raging Bull, On the Waterfront. I just love boxing. Hurricane,
Diggstown.
Diggstown's okay.
Play it to the bone.
Play it to the bone. Southpaw. There are a lot of good boxing films. I haven't watched all the Creeds yet. And I'm sure they're awesome. But
the Gladiator, right? Cuba Gooding Jr. That's
Gladiator. Yeah. Gladiator's good. There's so many great boxing films, but Rocky is like kind of the pinnacle of these.
Yeah.
Because he's all heart. He's real heart, and he's still heart in this film, but it once again it doesn't feel authentic. So, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna rage on Toni Morrison. He is not a great actor. I'm not gonna rage on Sage Stallone. He is a plank of wood. But God rest their souls. I'll leave them be. Normally, I would dig into both of them, and how. But I do like the theme of this movie about fathers and son, a father and son trying to gain it, and what. He makes a surrogate son out of Tommy, but he neglects Rocky Jr. And he, and how Sage has to come back. Rocky Jr. has to fight his way back, for respect for himself. And then he finally tells Rocky, "Hey, Rocky, I finally, or hey, Dad, I finally, beat my bully and got my jacket back and got my respect back." And he's like, "Oh, it's fun. I'm going to train Tommy. You want to train Tommy? You want to go get some sandwiches and we're going to beat up some people?" So I love that. I love how, like, he rebels after that, even though it's a plank of wood, but he's fine. And hey, it's okay. So because of that, I give this one a 3.
Okay, that sounds so painful.
Because I want to do it lower. It needs to be lower. But the fight's clean. The music's it's the acting is wooden and just not the best. And like I said, Rocky doesn't feel as authentic in this movie that he does in the other films, and especially the film we're about to talk about. But this one, yeah, it's
I got 3, and 3 ain't bad actually.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I would have rated it lower, but it's no Hellraiser.
There is something
whatever
about
Hellraiser
it, though,
we watched.
It's better than people realize, or I should say, it's better than people remember.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's something that's a theme coming through. So let's see if Mike carries on that theme, or if he has something else to say. Mike, what do you think about Rocky
5? It's garbage. And if you watch, so there's a working cut. I think it's still here on YouTube, but it takes out all the hip hop and a few other things, and it actually makes it. I mean, it still has everything, but it still makes it's a different film. Oh, the Meredith.
Purchase Meredith. Oh yeah, I forgot about that shit. Yeah, you're right.
They put the working title has that. The working title has that scene where he says, it's like he's wearing like all white and he's like in these rafters above Rocky and like, get up. I didn't hear no bell. Get up, fight. And it's just kind of like it's kind of like he's like the ghost has come back to help Rocky.
It's like the end of Return of the Jedi, right? Yeah, that's what it is.
And then
like, I'm gonna give you this necklace. This necklace is the necklace that we've never seen in any of the movies, but we're gonna give you this necklace because Rocky Marciano had it. I hate that shit. Sorry.
I forgot that part. No, they talk about the necklace before. It's another. They talk about it before.
I remember.
So the thing that makes Rocky 5 a tragedy is that a lot of people don't understand like how there's a huge time jump between the kid and Rocky 4 and Sage. And somebody on the internet was like, if you go back and watch when the whole thing was the reason why Paulie gave power of attorney was because they were going to Russia. And then you listen to it, the guy says, Rocky, you haven't paid your taxes in over 6 years. So the kid's supposed to be 9. Now he's 14. So he's been Rocky was detained in Russia for more than 5 years. Like they would not let him leave for 5 years.
Why?
Because he beat Drago. He embarrassed the country. So they held him and Paulie and Adrian and Duke for 5 years. So that's why. That's
I don't know. In the movie, it makes it seem like it's pretty immediate, right?
I know.
I'm shaking, Adrian.
But
by the way, we're in the era 1990, just like we were with Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. We're in this era where Stallone feels like he has a great ass. So he shows it off in the beginning of this movie. You remember that, right? Like, we're starting to notice something. Like, when was Sylvester Stallone most confident in his ass? Early 90s. So there you go.
I'll shower
But
in
this,
the nude.
but this basically just explains the time. It's a reason to explain the time jump of how the kid went from a small kid to a teenager. Without it, so that's the whole point. Is like the guy says,
I like to think that somebody just kidnapped him into the future and he came back aged up.
Yeah,
you can't. It was basically the guy says,
it was the robot. The robot fucking took the kid into the fucking future. Because what happened to the robot? Exactly. That's the story we need to know.
The robot is gone, and you don't explain it in 5 either, and that's why I was mad too. You are
they came and got it. It was in the background when they took the motorcycle.
That totally sucks.
Oh, was it? Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That sucks.
Because these kids sitting on the motorcycle and you see the robot in the background getting wheeled away. But as I said, that was the only way that was the only way that they could explain how the kid was that. Like I said, this was just internet rumor of how you age up a kid, 5 years with no explanation. And it was just that Rocky was detained for 5 years.
That would have been like an international incident.
It's the same. It's the same thing with the basketball players and smoking weed. That was detained over there in Russia. It's Russia, man. They can do whatever they want, and they have no the United States is not going to start a war because they have Rocky in prison. It's a matter of time. Russia is Russia. Like. They do what they want. They don't give a shit. And there's nothing you can do about it because if you do, they're going to be like, "Cool, we're going to bomb you with a nuke." So, is the Cold War really over? No, I don't think so. I think it's just been put on pause.
It going.
It's over. Rocky IV ended it, dude. That speech that Stallone did at the end of the movie, it completely ended it. Anyway.
But yeah, so I hate I think it would have been easier to train a actor to box than have a boxer act, but then again, the guy that plays Mason Dixon is a boxer, professional boxer, and I thought he did a good job in Rocky Balboa. So I think they just picked a bad boxer to act that he had a look that they were going for, and it just didn't work. So it's okay. It's an okay film. Like it's not the best. It's not the worst. It's better than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. So, but yeah, but
is Sylvester Stallone's ass better in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot? That's the question, right?
We should do a podcast all over on Stallone's ass and
see if we can get Sly on himself, right? Be like, hey man, what time of your life were you most proud of your ass? He'll be like 1991. We'll be like, oh, right in the middle.
and even in this movie, it's when he was. I've heard an interview about Stallone and. He was talking about it, and he even admitted that he kind of took Rocky a little too, he wanted to make him come back to his roots, but he felt, and as a reflection of it, he went back and he fixes it in Rocky Balboa, but he said he went a little too dark. He went a little too far, and knocking Rocky down a peg and losing everything. So. But yeah,
that sucked. I hated that. I don't know why I hated that as a kid. I just really hated that.
It's that was the thing too. He's like Rocky was he could have been a commentator on ESPN. He could have done
stuff.
There's so much stuff that he could have done, and it's just for everybody just to turn their back on the Rocky and just watch him. He
could have just been pimping fucking businesses in Philadelphia.
He was a millionaire. Yeah, he's just beaten a guy in Russia. He should be hot as shit, And that's
the thing. It's he made him fall. He wanted to bring him back down. He wanted to bring him back down to the street level, but he just did it a little too hard. He even said that he made a lot of mistakes.
It was a quick way to do it, right? Yeah.
But it's not the best film. It's a 3 all day for me. So.
He should have been like, pay my taxes. I just won the Cold War.
All the hip hop music was done by the band Snap. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they did the song "I've Got the Power."
I've got the power.
Yeah, that one right there. Yeah. So they're the ones that are responsible for all the Rocky music. So if you got a problem with that, you got a problem with them. But
I thought that was CC Music Factory for some reason.
No, it's Snap.
Okay.
And So, but it's a very dated film. Like, if you wanted to see what the early '90s was like
Watch
that
Maybe
is-
that's one of the things I liked about it, was that it was like, 1990, great. I was 9, like no responsibilities, just Rocky movies,
I
pizza.
was such a kid, and I so hated this movie when I was a
I
kid.
did too, man. I really
I
did.
hated the shit out of this movie.
I remember watching this movie a lot on HBO.
Yeah.
Like when my family did have HBO, I remember watching this one. Like it was on almost.
This
like
was my
every
second
day.
time watching this film, and I liked it immensely better than when I was 9, right? But I will say that I'll give it a 3.5. A 3.5, slightly better than 4. Kind of even with 3 for me, though, in a way. Like, I actually really do like the film. I don't hate it, and it was the biggest surprise. Maybe the biggest surprise was how much I didn't really like Rocky 4 as much this time, but even bigger was how much I liked Rocky 5. So a 3 from me, or 3.5 from me, a 3 from Jelani and Mike, and a 4 from Brooks.
Wow.
That's a 3.369 for Rocky 5. Now that's crazy. Stallone's ass. He showed his ass in Tango and Cash.
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
We need to see that one again.
We gotta watch Tango again.
All right. We didn't get another Rocky movie until 2006, 16 years later. And I remember when this movie came out, and I remember people saying it's good, but it's like the first Rocky movie, but he's old. And for some reason, I just never watched it. I worked at Movie Stop at the time, one of our movie video stores, and I don't know. I'd never watched it, right? And first time I watched this film was last night. I really enjoyed it. Everything that they're trying to do to bring the series back to its roots, to that street level, everything they're trying to do in part 5, they actually do in part 6, Rocky Balboa. I really like this film. I think it's pretty solid. And I would almost dare to say that it's the best in the franchise outside of the original. Like, I think this is Sylvester Stallone's best performance I have ever seen is in Rocky Balboa. I feel the weight of the loss of Adrian. I feel the awkwardness, but the burning desire for reconnection with his son, played magnificently well by Milo, whatever the fuck, from here.
Ventimiglia.
Yeah. I love him in this movie. I love the turn there. I love Polly in this movie. Right? Like, they are able to capture 16 years of story within the first 10 minutes of this movie. It is efficient. It is economic as far as the script and the structure goes. It is like the first one in that way. It is a near pitch perfect script for me. It works. I love the bond that he has with what's her name's son. I love Duke being back in it, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love Mason Dixon. Like, I
He
love
brought back Spider Rico from the first
He
movie.
sure did, dude. But I even love Mason in the film because you mentioned, I think, Jelani, he could have easily been just a Clubber Lang, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's
Easily.
not, because there is a little, like, there's respect there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though, and like, but you also see,
He's still a boxer, and he feels like
you
he's
see-
being
you see the
cheated.
bravado of it too.
Yeah.
You see, like,
Mhm.
you see the arrogance and the confidence. You see the
Mhm.
positives and the negatives of it. But by the end of it, the way it all shakes out, he's changed just as much as Rocky is. You know, he has a moment now, and I love Rocky Balboa. So before I get to my rating, what about you out there in the chat? What about you, Brooks? Overall, what do you think about Rocky Balboa, and what do you rate it?
Yeah, I really like this movie actually, and I remember when it first came out, like it's gonna be so depressing. You know, he's gonna be old. They're gonna like make it so sad, but they actually don't. Like, he's actually like Rocky's. He's not in a bad place. Like, you know, he has a successful restaurant where, you know, people come and, you know, he can tell his stories, and, you know, he's not like in the dumps like he was in at the end of in 5. So it feels like, you know, he's kind of come back, but, you know, he still does have problems, you know, like especially he's having problems connecting with his son, and but it doesn't feel like, he's down. It's like he doesn't, and like his whole reason for wanting to get back in the fight is just like, I just feel like fighting. Like he just wants to fight because he's, basically he's just bored. He just wants to, to get that last little, bit of glory that he can. And like he doesn't want, like, he doesn't want the big title bout, like, that he ends up getting, but he just wants to, have some smaller rights. But it's kind of appropriate, like, because like if Rocky's going to step back in the ring, it's kind of like, full circle, like, the champion challenges now. And I thought that Mason Dixon, I think I could have used a little bit more development. They give you a little bit here and there of, of what he's about. He's very similar to Apollo in a lot of ways. He's a big talker, he's very arrogant, but he's made to feel like he's never really gone the distance, because he's always taken out his opponent so quickly. So it takes like him fighting this like washed up dude who just will not fall down to finally feel like he's gone the distance. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's very much like, a bookend to the first movie where Rocky doesn't win the fight. It's just the fact that he's able to still go the distance. And I also liked his scene with the boxing commission where they're like, he's like, oh, so I passed all the tests, right? So I can fight. I'm like, so why did you make me take all those tests if you knew you weren't going to let me fight? Like, I thought that was like, that's an interesting thing, like that he's a guy who's not only he's capable of fighting, and he wants to fight, and he's proven that he's able to, but sometimes like bureaucracies kind of like hamper your freedom in like the interest of keeping you safe. It's like, yeah, like you could, but you might get hurt, and then we might be held liable or something like that. But he steps in there and he goes all the way, and he somehow does not die in this fight, like, which is crazy. But that's Rocky. He's superhuman in a way. I'd give this one, I don't think it's quite as good as the first two. I give it a 4.5. But it is a very exceptional movie, I think. Like, and Stallone's performance, I agree, it is probably his best performance out of all the Rocky movies.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, Brooks, man. Hell yeah. This has been a great franchise review, and we're not even done yet. Jelani, what about you? I just got chills, by the way, when Spilia was throwing this quote out there, right? Gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. Bruh. That's like that scene he said, like that's with his son, right? On the street, right? Dude,
yeah,
that's so good. I love it, man. Like, yeah, he's got this routine. There's a certain melancholy to it because he misses Adrian. He's going through the routine. He's got a successful restaurant, but it's probably not because it's the really good food. It's not, the reputation is you go there, he's going to show up and tell you the story, and you see this, but he also enjoys it. And
the poses, he always just put your fist right here.
Yeah, right. And he always wants to he just wants to feel that again because he's lost so much, and it's so incredibly well done to me. Jelani, what about you? What do you think about Rocky Balboa overall, bro?
Yeah, dude, this is my first time watching it too. I was gonna watch it in the theater like ages ago, but I just never did. Just never watched it, and just because probably I detached myself from Rocky for so long that I was just like, they're just making a movie cash grab. But this to me reminds me a lot of Top Gun Maverick. It has all the nostalgia bits that you need. It's got the character that they keep intact. He's a guy, he has lost a lot. He has lost his fortune, he's lost his wife. He's lost the adoration of his son, in a lot of different ways. He's lost his best friend. He loses Apollo. It's so much loss in him, but he's still hopeful and positive. He's such a great character that's in this film. There's so much I can say about Rocky Balboa. You said most of it, but I had a few thoughts and I lost them going through this. But it's such it's such an upbeat movie. It is a great bookend to the end. Like, this is the end of his story, like the end of his journey as far as boxing goes, because he really wanted to do this. This is something he was bored. He was tired of telling stories. People were tired of telling him stories for a while, and he finally gets the chance to like have one more shot. They give him his shot, the commission, and he finally gets in the ring with Mason Dixon, all over a cartoon fight, which is great. I love the setup for that.
I did
like,
hate
like
that stupid shit.
fight.
I hated that stupid shit, but then I was like, no, ESPN used to do stupid shit.
Yep,
like
they used to do this. This is the most, and by the way, this is like the most meta of all of the movies, because it takes you back. On top of that, it brings you into the pay-per-view HBO world, which was HBO pay-per-view with Larry Merchant and oh God, I forgot their names now. Jim Lampley and I forgot the other guy with the mustache.
Well, there's that one dude that the young guy that used to be on First Take and now has his own show. Like that's him, right?
I can't remember his name. Yeah, I can't remember his name to save my life. But yeah, these guys I watched religiously as a kid. You know, it's just these are the people that Tyson fight. They were the ones there doing it. Vander Holyfield fight. They were the ones talking about it. Lennox Lewis. These are the guys that call these fights. And it's so meta. And Mike Tyson's in it at the end, and the spectacle of it. It wasn't
shot like that too. Yeah, right? Like it's shot like they actually switched from film. Fight. They switched from film to HD video.
To the video,
yeah, and they film it like they filmed it on HBO apparently with like added flamboyance, right? But yeah,
it's amazing.
This. It's got like the colors, like tone changes and everything. Like it completely changes at the end of the film. It's really an interesting kind of thing that they do there.
It's gorgeous, and like I love Duke's speech about like we can't get him with speed because your legs are all calloused. You know, we can't do this and we can't do this. But what we're gonna do, we're just gonna pound it in you. We're just gonna make you're just gonna work out. You're just gonna do whatever you need to do.
I love that bit after the first round. Mason gets back in his corner. He goes, "Man, this dude's like fucking fist is made of brick or some shit."
Yeah. Broke his hand on his face. It's so amazing how, you know, that it does. It starts or it ends where it begins. It's such a great film to do this with. I'm sorry. I like Maria. I like her son. I like the dog. I like how Paulie gets the pink slip, but he's been working in this meat plant all these years, and like he paints it. Apparently, this is third shift. He's a third shift guy, and they just pink slip him. It's so sad. He's mad, but he comes in with his paintings and a slab of beef, and it's just.
I love how all the hosts react to Paulie being here. They're like, go get Rocky, please. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, freaking Rocky. But yeah, it's so good, and it's like I like the story with Marie where he gets the light and he puts it in. It's like, let there be light, you know, and it's so cute. I like that a lot. Like
I like the way he interacts with her kid, like when they're picking up the dog, and you know, and the kid's like, you know, he's just being very kind of snarky and sarcastic, and he throws up things, and instead of being like, you know, losing his temper on him and like, you know, scolding him or whatever, he like, you know, he plays along with it, you know, and that's how, you know, he kind of earns his respect that way. But you know,
he's
like, yeah, I'm not just some old asshole who's gonna gripe and whine at you, you know.
Yeah, he's very personable to everybody. Rocky is such a likable character. He never once like hit Adrian or hit the kid or did. I mean, of course you wouldn't see that, but what I'm saying is he's such a good guy, like a genuine character. And he reminds me a lot of Keanu Reeves of how positive and how his outlook is of where he goes and what he does. What Keanu Reeves is in real life is what Rocky is in the films, and I really like that dynamic, because you know, I was saying before to you, Robbie, that there's a gray area that sometimes people have, like in their in characters that we've watched on screen. I can't give you examples off the top of my head right now, but there's a gray zone that's just there, and Rocky doesn't have it. Like he genuinely is. He's supposed to be breaking thumbs in the first movie, and he doesn't break thumbs. He just scares him a little bit, scares the guy a little bit, and gets a little money off of him, and that's what he does. You know, he's not a bruiser. I mean, he's a bruiser in the ring. He's a devastating force in the ring, and it's something about it. I don't know what it is, man. He's such a good guy all around, and it makes it. It makes it. I don't know. It has that Bill and Ted level feel good for me, which I haven't felt good like this for a movie franchise since then for some odd reason. I don't know. I mean, they're good. They're great stuff and murder stuff, but Station Brother, it's just it's so good. So I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one 5.
Damn. Okay.
I really like Rocky Balboa. I'll watch it again. Like, yeah, he loses at the end by split decision.
He definitely got a better send off than John Rambo did.
He did. Yeah. Oh, don't worry. He's still doing. John Rambo's still going, man.
There's going to be one more Rambo film.
Got one more New Blood. Can you believe it? But yeah, he'll.
I hope he's fighting fucking aliens and shit in this one.
Yeah, he better be. He's gotten to that level because
I want Rambo meets aliens, and I want fucking Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park. That's what I want. Dude.
Sometimes in order to fight a space war, you have to become space war.
So a 5 you digs from Jelani, a perfect score. And Brooks, you gave it, was it a 4 or 4.5?
4.5.
4.5. All right. Spilio, I think you mean Rocky 6, 4.5. Because if not, then we're saying that Spilio right now is giving Rocky 5, 4.5. But
jeez,
that's not what's going to happen. And yeah, dude, this was sent to me anonymously one time, and I don't know who sent me this, but it's the Blu-ray collection of 1 through 6, and very, very happy with this. Doing the rewatch, it's got some nice special features on the first disc, and the rest of them are all bare bones. But it's the way it is. All right, Rocky Balboa, Mike, what do you think? What do you rate it?
It's a fun movie. I kind of dismissed it when it first came out as a cash grab because it was one of those like the new Rambo had come out, and then Rocky. It seemed like he was just trying to, instead of doing something original, it's like it just seemed like a cash grab on both of those franchises, and I just dismissed them both, and then it turns out both of them are some of the best of the franchise. Really good.
Freaking bangers, man. Freaking bangers.
What the fuck, mate? That's why you don't go trespassing in a fucking Burma.
And that's what I did.
That's a throwback.
I didn't. No, I really like this movie. I thought the relationship between him and Maria was a little weird because it's like it goes back into like, well, how old is she? And then just the whole the time continuity. Like she was a kid, so that would be, and it's like, well, Rocky was supposed to be like in his 50s.
She's a grown ass woman, man. She's grown ass
woman.
Like, yeah. He's supposed to be in his 50s when he had this fight, but she's supposed to be in 50s, and she's supposed to be like in her like 40s, but he was 30 when she was 18. So like, what's going on with the ages? So that means Rocky had to be like 70, almost 80, fighting Mason Dixon. If she's so like, that's like you get into like little things. That throw me off. So, like, if you just took Maria being out of it, I think this would have been a lot, like, not take her out, but, like, just if you made that character a different character, I think this film would have been a lot better. I did like how you saw Spider Rico. I thought that was, he eats for free, and then he got tired of it, and then was just like, he just goes into the kitchen and starts cleaning, washing dishes, and it was just, it's kind of like a nice little thing for his character. You know, because they had some like they had their just that little relationship that they had. Paulie is still a drag. You know, it's just he's like he gets mad because it's like they threw me away, and they gave me another watch, and I've already got a watch. And I thought that line was great.
I like his speech at Adrian's grave where he's like, "You come here, you remember the good times." Because you were good to her, but I was bad to her, so all I can remember is the bad times.
Yeah.
It's like, Paul, you could have just been better.
Yeah.
And it, well, it's
Not,
like
not
Polly
giving
did.
power of attorney to Bernie Madoff.
Well, Polly was like, it goes back and look at it. It's like you go back and look at the speech that he gives around Thanksgiving in Rocky 1. It's just kind of like he wants something, like he knows what he's doing. He knows what his life is, and he wants something better for her because it's like just don't sit here and take care of me. Go out and live your life. Do something better and
Do the turkey out and everything.
And like, and so, and he was he mean to her because he wanted her to do better for herself. Like, but there's so much to all these characters that, you know, you could almost write a fan fiction for, or, you know, do more. Like, once we go into like each movie and do a deeper analysis, you can probably do a lot more on it. But I mean, it's one of those that, I mean, it's solid, and they and like I said, like in Rocky 5, he took Rocky a little too dark and to losing everything. So this one he brought it back and made Adrian's a successful restaurant, you know, that was busy, and you know he's got a better career, he's got a better life, and he just has that hunger. The hunger burns still inside of him, and it's like, and a lot of people have that, and I've met a lot of people that have being in a lot of the things that I do. Even you can even in like the comic book world, you still have I still have that one great story that I have not gotten to write yet. And like there's several magicians that I know that are still I'm still writing. I'm still trying to get that one good song. Like I still have that one good song. I'm not done. Like I'm ready to continue. I'm like, I've got that. I'm not ready to give up yet. And I don't think, and I mean, I read somewhere that Rocky 5, Rocky was supposed to die at the end.
But I hated that movie.
And they have, well, it's a completely different movie, but Stallone got cold feet, and then that's how we got Rocky 5. So, but that was the whole point, was like Rocky, like the brain damage and whatnot. And then they did this one, and they were like, oh, hey, like the doctors were wrong at the time, and my brain's fine. So it's just one of those, like, all right, cool. Like, all right, that's how they fixed that little story about his brain being fixed. So, but I mean, I thought it was great. I thought this was one of the better fights. I thought it was great. A lot of fun. It's fun. There's just a lot to this movie. There's more to these movies than just boxing. So I can't wait till we do Creed 2 and 1 and 2. And by the time we get around to it, probably 4. So I know that he said.
So we're just gonna skip 3.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with Rocky's story. So the Rocky's not in Creed 3, but you can still do it. But it's like the story
and I saw
of
that
Rocky.
BJ had asked about that earlier, and from what I can remember is that somehow the rights to the Rocky franchise have gone away from Stallone, and the people who made Creed 3 were on board with him, and so he was like, "I'm done with it." And there's a lot of shit about that. He wants the Rocky franchise, obviously.
Yeah, and they're talking about trying to get something to where they can get him for the next Creed movie. So, but like they wanted to let him.
I hope they work that out, man. I really do.
I do too.
Because I mean, but Creed. I mean, even if Creed 2 is Rocky's final story, like it's still like it's like they gave Rocky a solid ending. So like I didn't realize. I always thought Creed was just going to be something different, than what it was. But it's really good. So. But this one I give it a 4. It's good. It's a nice throwback, but like I said, it's got its issues, but it's a redemption from, the last 2. So
Okay. I'm gonna agree with you, Mike. I'm gonna give it a 4. It's really good. I think it's the second best of the franchise. Now I think I gave part 2 a 4, right? And to me, like they're both 4s, but like I would more. They're almost on par, but Rocky Balboa captures something that Rocky 1 had that they tried to recapture in 5, didn't work. And I do think it's like one of Stallone's best performances. It doesn't go over the top with the training montage. It still has a nice lean pace to it. It is a perfectly written script for the most part.
It's merciful.
I really like it. I really liked Rocky Balboa, and all in all, what a consistent franchise. Y'all, Rocky was a fun, like, the one that was the least impressive to me on the rewatch was part 4, and I still gave it a 3, like, because I love that movie still. I love all 6 of these movies now. Like, even 5, I have a new appreciation for. So a 4 from me and Mike, a 4.5 from Brooks, and a 5 from Jelani, right?
I love that movie, man.
That's a PCP.
I'm watching that bad boy again.
It's a PCP average of 4.469. So pretty highly rated. So hell yeah, it seems like the PCP rankings, if we did them, would be like 5, 4, 3, 6, 2, 1, or maybe 2, 6, 1. I don't know. I think we may have ranked Rocky Balboa. No, I think we ranked Rocky 2 more. Anyway, thus concludes our Rocky franchise review. We haven't done one of these franchise reviews since the end of Horror Fest. We're not going to do another one until Action Fest. But Big Herm says, I'm on vacation this week and didn't get a Rockin' Robbie live last night, but this Rocky movie night with you 4 was everything. Great job, guys. Station. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, everybody. All right, so Rocky, we're done with this. So next week, what are we doing for PCP Movie Night? Well, we are now in the Crew's Choice section of the year, which means everybody on the crew, the people that are here usually on PCP Movie Night the most, we all get a pick as to what to do, because it can't all be me, right? But of course, I get the first pick, except I don't, because next week we start Crew's Choice with your choice, the audience poll. That's right. The last Rockin' Robbie Live, first 10 movies mentioned, they went into the poll, and in an overwhelming landslide victory, with over 60% of the votes, Dread was the winner. So next week on PCP Movie Night, join us Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be talking about Dread. But before that, check out Dylan's Horror Show this Saturday night when they're talking about The Dentist 1 and The Dentist 2 by Brian Usna. I'm not going to be on that show. Wish I could, but I won't be. But do join us on Monday for Dread. This is the biggest margin of victory in any poll. We had, usually on these PCP Army polls, we'd get like 30, 40, maybe 50 votes. We got like 150, 200 votes on this one. Like, it's Dread by like 60-something%. I wish it was 69%. I don't know the exact total, but yes, we are talking about Dread, and it's the Carl Urban Dread, not the Sylvester Stallone, just so everybody knows. Don't watch the wrong movie this week, but we'll be here talking about that. Brooks, thank you for being here, man. Final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Just check out, I got a thing with this guy down here called Go Figure Reviews. You could, I don't know, maybe you could watch that or something, you know. Maybe you like it, you know. Maybe you like it, maybe you think it stinks, but you don't think it stinks because it's really good. But, yeah.
Nice. What about you, Jelani? Go figure. I was recently on the show. I
yes,
have
you were.
those dropped. I know the one. I know the
Mechanic drop. This week we're gonna probably take a little easy, so we're gonna do the Battle Art He-Man this week. That you were on as well. So Brooks, you don't have to come by. You're good for this week. You feel good about that? Yeah, good times. Yeah. So
maybe
I'll have a day off every once in a while.
Maybe we should go watch Evil Dead Rise or something instead on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night or something. Well, Thursday night, we're actually doing the monthly reviews. Everybody check that out this upcoming Thursday. The monthly review. I was talking to Nick and Manny. Oh, by the way, yeah, we all got to hang out with Nick and Manny this weekend.
Yes, we did.
That was great. That was great. So you should be very jealous that they got to hang out with us. Anyway, Mike, thank you for being here. Final thoughts, bro.
Jelani, do you need the Gambit Psylocke 3-pack?
Yes. Wait, Gambit's. Yes.
The other one to the
Gambit Psylocke Banshee. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
That came in. The Villains 5-pack came in.
Yes. Villains 5-pack. What Villains 5-pack?
The X-Men Villains 5-pack with Pretty Boy and Strife.
Okay. Yeah.
The Liefeld one. It's the Liefeld one, right?
Yeah.
The Orb, the Serpent Society Build-A-Figure.
I know you're talking about.
That wave came in, and the new Indiana Jones figure. The first Indy came in. I got the 3.75 and the 6-inch. So
We'll do some
Those are pretty dope. I thought about doing it. I've been waiting for these for a while. So I've always wanted Indiana Jones figures. So I'm thinking about doing a review for those myself. But if you want to team up and do that sometime later down the road,
Yes,
when
sir. Come on over.
When the whole set drops, we can do that. So that's something for everybody to look forward to. If not, just check me out at Mike06 on Instagram and see what adventures I get into. So I have some photos to post from the last show, the last Clutch show, and the expo. So
nice. Like I said, be sure to join Dylan for Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday night with The Dentist 1 and 2. And next week, be back here for PCP Movie Night Dread, the Carl Urban one. Not Judge Dredd. Dread. Now, we will do Judge Dredd one day because it's our goal to do every single Sylvester Stallone movie.
I'm the law.
Yeah, even fucking Rhinestone Cowboy, or whatever the fuck is that what that movie's called with Dolly Parton? Rhinestone Cowboy. We'll even watch Staying Alive, which he directed.
Yeah, Staying Alive. He was only a cameo in that movie.
Oh, but he directed it, right? So
yeah, he did direct it. Yeah, that's right.
All right. I can't believe it. We just talked about all 6 Rocky films. We gave them all a good amount of time. We had a good discussion. This was a great PCP movie night. Now we're going into Crew's Choice. I'm very excited. We got some good picks coming up, including my birthday pick for Repo the Genetic Opera. So get ready for that one too. But this has been a great one. And I can't believe, guys, that we actually have gone the distance tonight. 2.5 hours talking about 6 Rocky films, and Creed was on the horizon at some point. We'll see. But holy cow, we did it. Yo, Adrian, we did it. Yo, everybody do your fucking thing. Do your Eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Challenge of
the challenge of our rivals.